Hey gang, welcome back. It is I, DrBossKey, and today I thought I would run you through essentially enemy death movements and what that looks like. So we got a really good question from Andy Roseby. Thank you, Andy, and it's cool to see your game project shaping up. And he was like, hey, how can I create aspects of where you kill a boss and maybe the boss's head blows up and then you want that boss's head to blow up and then fly off the screen and still have chunks of the boss left. You could do anything like that, right? So, he was asking how he would go about doing that. So let me flip on over and I'll show you. Because I think I meant to do this video and I hadn't done it in a long time. So first off, we basically have, our avian dark mages. And these guys here essentially have the avian dark mage death. And let me just show you the goods. So when I'm shooting them, you'll notice that they die and they do a little spinny bit and then they fall down out of the sky and then they disappear, right? So, and I'll show this to you again here using the bottom weapon. Boosh. Extra. So, and it's a little different each time, which is something I kind of like because you want a little bit of variance for the eye. Extra. And I will show you how I did that. So first off, what you're going to need to do is you have to go into the particle system and you will want to create basically the particles that you're going to use in the explosion editor or the death cycle for your effect. So we have the avian dark mage here, and you can see I can basically do this, and you can see it has a little rotation every time I reset it, and it does a little fade out or fall out of the sky, and then it fades. So it gets a little bit of momentum. And so all we did there is we essentially come into here. You have, and the nice thing is if you're already doing sprite sheet work for your main enemies, you would start with that. So as in, we basically have an avian dark mage, 128, 128 in this case, and I think it's just basically a single image of the. It might be multiple. Oh, let me see here. Columns and rows. Yeah. So I basically took the entire sprite sheet of the enemy that I use. That is basically these guys. Make sure you rename it. You should never have files named the same across your game directories. It'll cause issues with the engine. And yeah, so I put this guy in. I took, made sure that it's a 2x2. And then the duration for this is controlling the speed at which animation. I wanted to be a little bit slower because he's dying and like less flaps of the wings. You know, like you have the little stories you tell you for the visual way that things come together. So duration is 2.5. And then setting the life min max to 2.5 here. And probably a big chunk of the magic here is on the emitter side. I wanted to keep it in local space. I have max particles 8. I only emit 1, so it's not a big deal in this case. Set emission because I only want it to show up one time. You could do multiples, but you could do that in explosion editor as well. But I set it to burst in my case. Emission count is 1, and it's just a one shot. So boom, and I didn't want to have 10 dark avian mages flying out of each other. Could maybe, when you kill it. So still could be a thing. It's more of just a style choice than a tech choice. All right. And then over on the modifiers, you basically, for me, I just wanted the scales to be the same because I wanted to be about as big as the main enemy. I didn't want it to get bigger or smaller. No color over life, so I turned that off in my case. Actually, wait. So color over life, I do have. And to do the fade out, we start fully opaque, and then we end at being fully transparent. And then part of the magic here is I wanted to add a rotation. So when the particle spawns, it starts at 0. It has a speed range end at 360. Just play with these, of course. And then range start was 0. Range end was 360. And then I have under forces. This is the key piece, Andy. So under forces, I have essentially here on the Z, I have it at 15. That felt pretty right for me, but I could easily, and this stuff is super easy to tune, right? So I can make that 60, and there you can see like, oh, it's that's the down force in this particular case. So, and I could probably, I don't know, how big does this go? Yeah, cool. Watch this. Ba-doop. So, take a look. Let's take a quick look. I'm a kid at heart. So anyways, but you could give it, make sure I don't save this. I think it was 15. But you could give this different forces, of course. So this is basically when you spawn the enemy death version of the particle, then giving this a direction randomizer. And then, of course, the direction randomizer here randomizes the particle direction to add more chaos. And that's where you get a little bit of variance. Always nice to have, you know, every time you kill something, having to do something slightly different if you can. Different types of explosions. This is one of the ways you can actually do that. So, all right. So then now that I've set up my Avian Dark Mage Death Particle, we're going to flip on over to the explosion editor. And then it's a nice little pro tip, right? Like the Avian Dark Mage Death, right? It's the always try to name your assets something that will help you go and search for them, right? So particles, Dark Avian Mage Feathers, right? Blood Splatter, that's generic. Avian Dark Mage Death, I kind of spoonerized those there. But yeah, so then what we have here is on the explosion side, we got a few other things that happen. I actually could probably take and attach this particle to local space, but I digress. So, all right. So here you can construct your explosion with sprite elements. So here you don't necessarily need the particle system just to create a new sprite sheet animation. You can create a new particle system element. Here you do need the particle system element, so you can create that. You can create a new light element. So this is really cool if you have sprite lighting on, or if you have background lighting on, because then you can give little flashes, bigger explosions. Kind of depends on what the style is for your game. Then you have what is this? I think this is the copy. Yeah. Oh, we're missing our tooltip for that. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's the copy. Yep, that's it. So now you can. This is so much nicer. In the olden days, you couldn't do that. You had to reconstruct them each time. So yeah, so that's your duplicate. You rename your elements. You could be lazy like I did and not, but this would help in terms of renaming. And then you can move the elements up and down. And this is going to give you, let's see here, move the element up and down, and then you can delete the elements as well. So, and I believe the top is the back and the bottom is the front. I'd have to take a look at it again, but just play with it. This is basically, you know from the layer system that you can layer your effects differently. So, okay. And so what I have here is I have basically a particle element, which is single feathers white. And if I go over to particle elements, because I was our game is getting big. Hello? Give me is that correct? I think I'm hunting for stuff. Is that correct? Wait, come on now. Come on now. What did we say it was? Single, yeah, so single feather white. It's in the particle system. Come on. There we go. I can do alphabetized. So here you can see this was just me kind of pulling together some of the elements that I thought would be kind of nice. So here I just have a bunch of feathers, avian feathers, and then here I got a little bit of more randomness. They do a little bit of a different fade with a tinge of red, where it starts and fades out to white. And here we got a high amount of randomness and then a little bit of force. Again, the Z in this particular case for me is the bottom of the screen. And I think actually, I'm not going to do this now, but same thing. So it's a burst. And then I think we actually generate a bunch here in this case, just to give it a little bit more of chaos. So back over to the explosion editor. So we have that. And then we have the blood blobs, which I won't go through. And then Dark Avian Mage feathers. Yeah, so I have this version where I wanted some feathers to also go up. This is a big cloud of spinning feathers, so a little bit different. So I'm kind of layering all these elements together to sort of give, like that flavor of where we're at. I might actually change that blood blob at some point. And then we have the Avian Dark Mage itself, right? And so it gets its rotations from the particles, as I pointed out. And then the other thing that you have here, right, is that for each of these, you can change scale if you want. You can change the like your direction here. So you can see here, it's really nice with the preview editor. So if I went negative 30 on the Z, he would pop higher, right? So, and it just kind of depends on what you want to do. That actually kind of feels weird and cool. It's just what you want to do with tweaking and tuning. But I think that is basically the overview. So now you got a sense of how the particle system works together with the explosion editor, and the things that you can do, and how to create motion for your enemies. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, thank you very much. Thank you for all the comments and the questions. Such a wonderful community. If you're thinking about getting into Shmup development, Shmup Creator is a fantastic tool set. It's got a few rough spots, but the engine developer, it's a labor of love. He's very passionate about this, and this has been a phenomenal, really just over the first year of coming out of beta and being out there. Lots of games have now starting to ship, and there's a lot you can actually do. And the best part is, because it's a codeless solution with a visual scripting system, and don't let the visual scripting system, there's only so many things you can do with this thing right now, but it lets you focus on rapid gameplay iteration, game tuning. It does all the heavy lifting that you would normally need to do if you're going to roll your own shmup game in like Unreal or Unity 3D or Godot or any of those engines, right? Like, you don't have to worry about the tool chain. You don't have to worry about the data path. It's all there for you. And we're a wonderful little group of dudes and dudettes that really enjoy shmups and are busy playing and iterating and making shmups together. So this is me to you saying thank you so much, and we'll see everyone next time.